Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, my kids. Today, we are beginning a chapter of study called the Communication Tools. This is the final chapter of the year. We have learned about communicating in our community and how we communicate our culture. When we started this theme, we created a web about what we know about communication. Do you remember? Do you remember what did we say about methods of communication as letters, emails, nonverbal communication, art, and music? We know that we communicate every day, but how we communicate can be different depending on who we are communicating with, what we need to communicate, and when we want to communicate. For example, right now, I am communicating by talking to you. I communicate with you with my voice tone. Also at home, when you talk to your mother, you are talking to her face to face. Our communication may be non-verbally, as waving hello or facial expression. Also, it may be written. Many of the ways we mentioned use some kind of technology. Do you remember what does the word technology mean? It's a human-designed solution to a problem. Over many hundreds of years, humans have been developing technologies that help us communicate faster and over longer distances. Years ago, we could only communicate over a long distance by sending letters in the mail. Could you think what problems does this type of communication create? Wow, excellent. The problems include that it takes a long time to mail a letter and receive a response. Also, a letter can be lost or delivered to the wrong place or read by someone other than the intended recipient. Now, I want you to think, if you were at home and I was at school, what are some options for how I could communicate with you? Super! Yes, we can use a telephone to make a phone call, or we can use a cell phone to call or send an instant written message. We can also call using video. These are all methods for communicating. Technology has made the job of communicating easier. Let's continue thinking through scenarios in which we might use different methods of communicating. Please open your book, page 199, titled How Will I Communicate? Imagine you have access to all 4 types of communication pictured. Match the communication technology you are most likely to use with each scenario. There may be more than one correct answer, so you can, of course, choose more than one answer. Let's read the first scenario. You want to invite a friend to come over to play. How could you communicate? What could you use from these ways of communication? We can use, of course, video call or text message or a phone call. What about the second scenario? You want to wish your grandma a happy birthday. So, which methods could you use? You can use also video call or text message or a phone call. Let's read together the third scenario. You want to tell a friend who lives far away about your day. So you could use the email or a video call. The last one, you want to place an order for a cake at the bakery. What could you use? You can use the phone call to make an order. So, as you noticed, there are many ways to communicate in each scenario. Let's find out now if others agree with your choices. Sure, you remember that we can record and compare our choices using a bar graph. Please open your book, page 200, titled Graphing Communication. Choose one scenario from the previous page and record it below. Then, ask 15 students in your class which form of communication they prefer for that scenario. Record the answers on your paragraph. And while you are at home now, you can ask many members of your family to complete the graph. Then you can determine the preferred method of communication. Which scenario we could use? We choose the first scenario, that you want to invite a friend to come over to play. We have in the first page 4 ways to communication. We have text message, we have also video chat, email, and phone call. When we ask some members of the family or your friends, you can get these choices, or it may be different. So what is the preferred method for communication here? Of course, it's the phone call. So more choices refers to communication with the phone call. Now, let's read a story about a new student in Noor's class and consider if this form of communication would work for her. Open your book to the page Noor's new classmate. Let's read the story together and identify the type of communication you think would be best for the new student. Give reason to support your answer. Noor arrived home from school. Good afternoon, Grandma. We have a new student in our class. Her name is Rana. She's blind. That means she cannot see. Noor tells Grandma. Wow, how interesting, Grandma replies. Even though she cannot see, she can still read, Noor exclaims. How can she do that? Grandma asks. She reads special books. Her books are written in Braille. Braille letters are dots that she can feel on the page. Those dots tell her the letters to make words. It's amazing, Noor says. That is indeed amazing. So instead of looking at the words and reading them, she feels the words. Of course, she feels the words with her hands. But our computers and cell phones don't have Braille letters on them. I wonder how she communicates with others, Grandma says. So, my kids, from this story, we learned that the word blind means that she cannot see. The persons who cannot see can read books and can study their lessons using books written in Braille. Braille letters are dots that they can feel with their hands to read. In the first page of this lesson, we mentioned many ways of communication as video chat, text message, email, and phone call. Which of these ways do you think is suitable for the blind student to communicate with others? Try to think. Excellent. I think the best way to communicate with the new student is a phone call. Today, my kids, we discussed ways we can communicate. This was the end of our lesson today. See you next lesson. Goodbye, and thank you for listening.